Every step that we have taken, every part of our past is significant and plays a vital role in where Yah is leading us to. Hi, this is Barry Phelps with 10-Minute Torah, Day 3 of the Torah portion V'eki. We're still in Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 48. And let's go back to the last verse that we read yesterday, verse 5, where Israel says to Joseph, "And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Mitzrayim, before I came to you in Mitzrayim, are mine. As Reuben and Shimon, they are mine." There is this formal adopting then of Joseph's two sons. Yeah, Israel is doing a couple of things here. One, he is preparing and establishing the fact that Joseph will receive the Bakora, that is the double portion blessing. Whereas each of the 12 sons would receive a tribal allotment. Here he is saying to Joseph, I'm going to give to you two portions. It's not that he is dividing Joseph's portion, he is multiplying it. Whereas Joseph normally would have one tribe allotment in the land, now he's going to have two. That is, Manasseh is to receive one, and Ephraim. Now, tomorrow we'll get into the Melo HaGoim statement about Ephraim becoming the fullness of the Gentiles. I don't want to give away too much there. But I want to build on what we were talking about yesterday. The tribes of the 10 northern kingdoms, collectively referred to as a few names: Samaria, which was their capital. Secondly, the house of Israel, or the house of Ephraim, Ephraim becoming the most predominant of those tribes. So when someone says, I'm an Ephraimite, or I'm of the house of Ephraim, that's what's being referred to, these lost tribes that are scattered throughout the earth. In the book of Matthew chapter 15, Yeshua said, I was not sent but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That is, in particular, while he came to save all mankind from sin, in particular, he was coming to redeem those 10 lost tribes of the house of Israel that had been scattered throughout the world. The way that he creates for them to be reestablished and rejoined to the covenant family of all Israel is the same path that he makes available to whosoever will, in Yochanan in John 3:16. If we are all willing to come, we can, whether we have a Hebrew lineage or not. There may not be one drop of Hebrew blood in your veins. That doesn't mean that you can't be born again, or that only those who have such DNA can be born again. All can. But when we come into the body of Messiah, when we're born again, we're no longer Gentiles. Rav said as much in Ephesians chapter 2. You're no longer Goyim, but now we're all Israel. That doesn't mean we replace anybody. We're not driving out the Jews so that we can take their place. There's a very erroneous teaching called supersessionism, or more commonly said to be replacement theology. I'm putting a lot of information out here. I'm sorry. So let's continue now with our current thought. And that is that Ephraim collectively, that is those who have come to Messiah from Goyim or Gentile past. We came out of systems, many of us did, that promoted the work of the Holy Spirit as exercising gifts that we read about in 1 Corinthians 12 in particular. But there's more to the work of the Holy Spirit than just operating in gifts. Let me read you something from the Aramaic English New Testament. This is a great study source. I encourage you to secure one of these. In the book of Yochanan, chapter 14, Yeshua says this, verse 15, if you love me, keep my commandments. And then verse 16, and I will ask of the Father, and he will give you another. And most of your translation says helper or comforter. This translation says another redeemer. And that may cause you to raise your eyebrows, but hold on. He will give you another Redeemer who will be with you forever. Now, the footnote says to us that in the Aramaic, which would have been the original language here, I believe, it is transliterated as PRQL plus A. The Greek translators saw that and wrote in Parakletos, which means an advocate, which is what most of our English translations focuses on. But the Aramaic construct is two different words. One is PRQ, that is to end or to finish or to save. And then the last part, L plus A, it means the curse. That is then the idea of a redeemer, one who ends the curse. What curse are we talking about? Well, it would be the curse that would go all the way back to the garden. The curse of sin and death, and the curse of fruitlessness. You're going to work in the soil, but you're only going to get, you'll eat your bread out of the sweat with the sweat of your brow, and you're going to bring forth fruitlessness as well, thorns and briars. So there is a ending of the curse. The Ruach HaKodesh has come to refine and teach and apply the word to us so that the effects of the curse are diminished until they're destroyed. Now, let's read this other information here in chapter 48 that we may think, I don't know why it's here. It says then in verse 7, Israel still speaking, and when I came from Padan, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. There is some interesting meanings here. Fields, Padam, means fields. Okay. Ephrath means an ash heap or a fruitless heap, a fruitless place. However, the root of the word means to be fruitful. So it is a reversing of the root. To be fruitful, fruitlessness is Ephrath. Bethlehem, on the other hand, means place of bread, or particularly house of bread. What's being said here perhaps might be that there is a people who are called to be fruit-bearing. But instead of being fruit-bearing, they're going to be fruitless. Living in an ash heap, maybe we could say, of fallen structures. But their root is to be fruitful. There is a call, a prophetic call upon them to bear fruit. And to their root, then, they have to return. The question it asks then is, are you willing to live among the ashes of what you have trusted in and believed on and depended upon when it's fallen down around your ears? Israel and Mitzrayim, perhaps, us and our religious systems? Or are you willing to return to your root to become fruitful again? Yah is calling to us today to come out of the fields of barrenness so that we can come to the house of bread. The house of bread. Bread is the living bread, the bread of heaven, the living manna. To come to a right understanding of who Yeshua really is. Our Messiah is not one who takes a handful of greasy grace salve and smears it all over our willingness and continuance of sin so that we can feel like, well, it's all just covered. No, he's the living bread that calls us to life, to genuine nourishment, to be free from our bondage, to end the curse. Ephraim and Manasseh, these tribes lived under a curse of barrenness and fruitlessness the world over and their many subsequent generations, but we're being called out of that. And the tears of Mother Rachel are still weeping and crying out, weeping for her children. It's time to return home. and bear the fruits of the Spirit. We'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.